Thank you so much to the conference organizers and Mr. Schneider for giving us this opportunity.
I'm Erin.
And I'm Carly.
And we are both seniors at Dana Hall. In our school community, we are co-heads of our sustainability group and have been working tirelessly the past 2 years to bring sustainable action to Dana Hall. This is through a reintroduction of composting and recycling programs post-COVID, as well as other initiatives.
Over spring break, we traveled across Iceland alongside our school's environmental science program. We stayed in 3 distinctly different locations over the course of 8 days and got to know both rural and urban areas. On top of visiting many natural wonders, we were able to hear from specialists about the unique culture and sustainability of Iceland. Most importantly, we reflected on the sustainability culture in Iceland, which prioritizes environmental action and forward-thinking sustainability.
Today, we will be exploring Iceland's sustainability with both small-scale and large-scale actions, the difference between US and Icelandic energy consumption, and the type of energy both countries consume. On a smaller scale, we will discuss the Solheimar Eco-Village, a self-sustaining community that benefits both the preservation of natural resources and marginalized societal groups. Finally, we will compare the mindsets between the US and Icelandic people and how the two countries differ in their environmental priorities.
The island of Iceland sits above 2 specific environmental features that create the unique landscape of the country. The first is a hotspot, also known as a mantle plume, that is, a channel of magma rising from the core of the earth. This is a major origin of Iceland's volcanism.
Above the mantle plume sits the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates, along with one other microplate, which are slowly moving apart. The combination of frequent volcanic activity and divergent plate movement continues to expand the landmass of Iceland by about 2 centimeters annually.
Additionally, due to the abundance of geothermal heat in Iceland, they are able to heat almost the entire country using only this renewable source, as well as use the energy to generate electricity. On our first day, we visited the geothermal power plant exhibition and learned how geothermal energy and heat are captured. The energy harvesting process begins by drilling into the ground until you reach an underground reservoir with temperatures ranging upwards of 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This water is used to produce steam, spinning a turbine, and generating electricity. The water is also transported through insulated pipes to homes and businesses to provide clean and natural heat. In addition to utilizing renewable energy sources, the Icelandic people prioritize even small acts of sustainability, like only taking the food you will eat by posting reminders in dining areas, and therefore cultivating a feeling of shared responsibility.
Solheimar is a small village on the southwest of Iceland. It is an intentional community created to benefit both sustainable initiatives as well as marginalized societal groups. The community was founded by Cecilia Sigmundsdóttir on July of 1930 as a self-sustaining community for the education of persons with disabilities. Cecilia spent her education years in Germany, Switzerland, and Denmark, studying pedagogy based off of Dr. Rudolf Steiner's educational philosophy. Steiner's beliefs are rooted in anthroposophy, a humanistic pedagogical approach. Cecilia also integrated her Christian values into the creation of the village's culture. She was deeply focused on horticulture, poultry, and flower cultivation.
Cecilia's focus on the individual's role within the environment caused her to be regarded as Iceland's first environmental activist. The Solheimar community is entirely self-sufficient thanks to Cecilia's environmental legacy. Nowadays, the community is home to both residents with and without disabilities and is equipped with guest houses, small shops, and a cafe. With her fierce determination and thoughtful care for others, Cecilia revolutionized the idea of sustainable living. A key impact of Iceland's commitment to sustainable living during the country's transition to greater development was the emphasis on energy use and footprint.
How did most of you get here today? Car? Bus? I can guarantee almost all of you took some sort of gas-powered vehicle. Energy use in the US versus Iceland differs drastically, a clear indication of the contrasting ideas of sustainability between the two countries. In the United States, non-renewable energy is the norm. This includes petroleum, natural gas, and coal. Petroleum is the most used fossil fuel in the United States, but its use peaked in the 1970s, around the time that the Environmental Protection Agency was first founded. In 2024, petroleum made up 38% of total US sources of energy. In comparison, all forms of renewable energy totaled only 9%. Additionally, a majority of vehicles in the country are gas-powered, as American communities are built for long commutes instead of prioritizing walkability.
On the contrary, Iceland's energy sector is dominated by renewable energy. 70.7% of Iceland's energy supply in 2024 came from various renewable sources, with an additional 18.5% coming from hydropower specifically. Oil and coal account for only a small portion of the total energy supply. Moreover, most vehicles in Iceland are electric, including buses, and many communities are very easy to navigate on foot or by bike.
Obviously, we are not able to mimic all of Iceland's sustainability measures on the same scale, geothermal energy use, for example, due to the nature of our own land and significantly larger population. But one thing we can learn from them is that sustainability should be a building block in our community, not an afterthought. In our culture, thinking about what is best for the environment often comes last. We have lost a sense of connection to our land and natural resources that pushes us to treat them with respect. Where we focus on speed and ease, Iceland allows the longevity of solutions and community well-being to drive their decision-making. We need to remember that we are all responsible for the stewardship of our environment. It is not a short-term trend, it is a long-term solution.
While the United States may not be the most sustainable country in the world, or even particularly close to being so, we are slowly making strong improvements as a society. School clubs like Dana Hall's Green Action Committee create progress in small communities, spreading sustainability mindsets to like-minded peers. In addition to school clubs, towns often have environmental organizations to improve sustainable policy at a local level. Usually in these town groups, they are open to volunteers, so it is a great way to get involved at the municipal level, especially to explore public policy agendas.
Furthermore, consortiums like Thayer's James Tufts Pener Conference allow groups like ours to come together to bring forth greater change, granting us the opportunity to learn from one another. Big group gatherings like this can also boost morale, since it is inspiring to see so many people come together to support each other's agendas.
However, there are limitations to countrywide change. It is difficult to change a society rather than supporting the unsustainable systems already in place. But still, it's important not to give up, especially as the young leaders, since we are the future of the environmental movement.
The most important step we can take in working towards a sustainable society is exactly what we are all doing here today, spreading awareness and talking about our impact. Conversation allows us not only to learn and educate, but to also reflect inward on our own practices and discover new actions, both big and small, that we can add into our own routines. This can be anything from investing in an electric car to swapping paper plates for porcelain or eating a more plant-based diet. It isn't a competition, it's a collaboration.
By starting as individuals, then groups, towns, and states, we can turn small lunch conversations into real-world change.
So remind your friends to bring their reusable cups to Starbucks.
Learn about what your school does with leftover food.
Ask a question in history class that invites others to think about the evolution of our impact on Earth.
Because now, more than ever, we should all focus on the contributions we can make.
Because as we learned from Solheimar, one person's motivation can spark generations of change. Thank you.